The Easy Gourmet is sponsored by The Scoreboard Sports Bar and Grill. Come visit us at 15 Middlesex Canal Park in Woburn, 781-897-4000.
Old Town Liquors on 286 Cambridge Street in Burlington off of Route 3A. The purveyors of fine wine, beer, spirits, specialty meats, cheese, and prepared foods.
Gibson Sotheby's, proud sponsor of the Easy Gourmet. Come stop by our Weston office today to see the unique approach Gibson Sotheby's International Realty can offer you in selling or buying your next home. Call us at 781-899-1650 or visit our website at gibsonsothebyrealty.com.
Also sponsored by Hillside Florist, located at 888 Main Street in Woburn. For more than 50 years, we've been committed to offering the finest in floral arrangements and gifts for all occasions. Call us at 781-933-2670 or visit us at our website at www.hillsideflorist.biz.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Easy Gourmet. I'm your chef and host, Vinny Felici. I have an exciting show for you today. We have a lyonnaise potatoes, medallions of pork with mule moutarde, which is a French mustard from the Bourguignon region of France, and we have a crispy French pear tart. What we're going to do first, though, is we're going to do the dessert and the potato first because they're both going to cook at the same temperature. And I am going to use separate ovens, but if you only have one oven at home, you can do them both in the same oven, the same temperature and the same cooking time. So why don't we get started on the potatoes first? What we want is just one onion, one regular onion. This is just a regular white or yellow onion. You can use a purple onion if you'd like. So what I want to do is just take the paper off that. Get rid of that. Actually, we'll get our pan going first. Get that going on medium. We want to slice these in circles. Usually what I like to do, just to make it a little safer for everybody, is to take off a little piece. And that way the onion stays steady. And you just cut those into rings. About 1/4 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch, give or take. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp, which this is. I had them sharpened before today's show. And I'm going to saute these in clarified butter. And what clarified butter is, I already made a batch. It's butter that's melted. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. It's melted and separated from all the curds and whey. As you can see in the bottom, all the water and all the whey and all the leftover from the butter process sinks to the bottom, and then the clean butter is at the top. So all you want to do is you melt that on a low temperature, like very, very low as your stove can go, as your burner can go, and then you just melt that. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and you can just dump that out. It's almost like it's almost like an oil is what it's basically what it is, because you're taking all the moisture and water out of it. Just be careful you don't, I mean, if you get a little bit of that in here, it isn't too bad. So I just want to make sure I don't get a lot of that in there. So you can see that again, if the camera can pick that up, all that kind of waste. Usually the really expensive butters, Irish butter or some of the Vermont butters, don't have as much of that in there. There's very little. This is just regular, everyday, non-salted butter from the supermarket. I think that's good. So we have that going, and we want a couple of tablespoons. Just put our onions in there. We want those, get those somewhat translucent. And let those cook. And we don't want to burn these. We just want them to saute somewhat because they're going to be in the oven for a half hour at 400 degrees. I'm just going to lower that just a little. You can let that go. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to make layers with this. This is the base for the lyonnaise potato. We're going to slice our potatoes, lay those out in a non-stick pan. Then we're going to lay the sauteed onions on top of that and put another layer of potatoes on top, and that's going to be our base recipe for our lyonnaise potato. But while those are sauteing, let's get started on our crispy French pear tart. What we need is basically a fajita wrap. So I have a couple of them here, the 7-inch fajita wraps. And make sure they fit on your tray. That's basically what we want. So we're going to make 2 today. Just put this to the side. And what I want to do first is take our wraps, and we're going to take a little bit of softened butter and spread that on our wrap. About a tablespoon, tablespoon and a half. Make sure the whole bottom is covered, just a thin layer. Gonna need a little more. And a little bit of sugar. About a tablespoon. A nice tablespoon. Coat the bottom. And then bring those. That side will go down on the cookie sheet. And now we want to coat the top part with the pears. Just want to make sure those fit. And we have to peel our pears. Any kind of pear will do. These are Bartlett pears. We just want to peel those. I'm going to start off with 2 pears, see how we do with 2 pears, if we can fill both of those shells up. You could use Anjou pears for this, red pears. I think I've said in a past show, red is my favorite pear, but I didn't see any this week. There's something earthy about that red pear that I really like, but they didn't have any, so we'll get rid of this. We want to cut those up. You can get rid of the core with the melon baller. Get rid of those. And just get rid of the stem. And slice these up. And just put those around. Strategically around the fajita wrap. So these will roast for a half hour at 400 degrees. Then you'll let them rest, and we're going to glaze them with some apricot jam and put a nice little garnish on that. I'll show you how to do that later on in the show. Just going to dot those with a little bit of butter. And a little bit of sugar. Not too much because the pear's very ripened and they're very sweet. You don't need too much. Just enough to form a crust on these when they cook. It'll form a nice little crust. And I'm just going to put this off to the side for now because I'm going to put the potatoes and this in at the same time, so they'll be roughly ready at the same time. Let me just check to see how these are doing. These are doing great. Just going to lower the heat just a little because I don't want them to brown too much. Okay, so, forgot these pieces here. Let me just clean up for 1 second. Okay, now for our potatoes. We want them sliced about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. If you have a very sharp knife, you can do that. But I'm going to use the mandolin today, which we've used on past shows. And what we want is, I have 3 potatoes. They're washed, actually 3 1/2. And basically any potato will do. I'm going to leave the skins on these because they're very, very mild skin on them. If you use an Idaho potato or something with a heavy skin, you probably want to take them off because it's just a little too heavy for this recipe, but these are basically paper thin, these skins, and I'm going to leave them on today. So I'm just going to get rid of that first piece because I was practicing a little bit before the show. And what I want to do is I want to slice these. This is basically what you're looking for. If you can cut them that thin with your knife or pretty close to that, you can do that. If not, if you have a mandolin or something close to this, do that. This is just a little bit faster and easier. Whoop. Up. Come back here. Woo. Plus, if you use one of these too, it gets them kind of exactly the same thickness. When you use your knife, sometimes you probably, even if you're really good with it, you tend to A few of them could be a little thicker than others, and they may cook at a different rate. One more, one more. This has a guard on it. I never use it though. It just gets in the way. Okay. Move that to the side. Let me just check our onions before we go any further here. I think our onions are good. They're somewhat golden, but not cooked all the way through, which is good. So I'm going to shut the heat off. Remove that from the heat for now. So with these potatoes, what we want to do is we want 4 tablespoons of clarified butter. Just an approximate is fine. A little bit of salt and pepper. And mix those up till they're coated with all that butter. If you think you need a little bit more, put a little bit more, because you want to make sure these are all coated. And that way they'll all brown evenly. Okay. That's good. And we need a non-stick pan. If you were doing this for a big crowd, you could use a 10 by 13 or a 12 by 14. This is an 8 by 8. It's probably good enough for the 3.5 potatoes that we had today. So what we want to do first, or you could also do individual Lyonnaise potato. You could get little tart pans, fill those up with potatoes, and each person could have their own little side dish. But we're just going to do for a crowd today. So I want about a tablespoon or so of butter at the bottom of this. This is a non-stick pan. You need a non-stick pan for this one. But I'd like to have a little bit at the bottom anyway, just to make sure that things don't stick. Plus, it'll brown a little better too with a little more butter at the bottom. So you want about half of your potatoes kind of strategically laid out in this. Just overlap a few. I don't know if the camera can get that because of the sides on here, but you just want to lay those out. Lay about half of your potatoes at the bottom. That's what you're looking to do here. Okay, now we want our onions. I've had this dish at weddings and banquets, and I think it's making a comeback because I've had it recently. So I just lay those out in a thin layer. And we want the rest of the potatoes. And just kind of strategically, again, lay those all along and cover up all those onions. You don't have to put them like one underneath the other or one on top. Like, you can just do it any way you want. Because once this browns, it all kind of blends in. And that's basically it. I'm just going to put a little butter on top just for the heck of it. And a little more pepper. Okay. So now I have both my ovens preheated to 400. Like I said, we could put these both in the same oven, but I'm going to go with separate ovens, just because we happen to have them. That goes in there in the middle. Check your temperature, make sure it's at 400. And put these in at 400. Check the temperature and check our time. And we're good to go for our next course. We'll be back in a minute while I clean up.
The Easy Gourmet is sponsored by The Scoreboard Sports Bar and Grill. Come visit us at 15 Middlesex Canal Park in Woburn, 781-897-4000.
Old Town Liquors on 286 Cambridge Street in Burlington off of Route 3A. The purveyors of fine wine, beer, spirits, specialty meats, cheese, and prepared foods.
Gibson Sotheby's, proud sponsor of the Easy Gourmet. Come stop by our Weston office today to see the unique approach Gibson Sotheby's International Realty can offer you in selling or buying your next home. Call us at 781-899-1650 or visit our website at gibsonsothebyrealty.com.
Also sponsored by Hillside Florist, located at 888 Main Street in Woburn. For more than 50 years, we've been committed to offering the finest in floral arrangements and gifts for all occasions. Call us at 781-933-2670 or visit us at our website at www.hillsideflorist.biz.
All right, our next course is the pork medallions in the Mew Moutarde or Mew mustard from France. Again, as I said at the beginning, this mustard is ground in France, in Bourguignon, France. You'll have to pardon my French, but it's not like Dijon, where Dijon has that little kick and that little spice, and it's very yellow and strong, and it has white wine into it. This here is a little more refined and ground really, really slowly. It has a grain to it, but the grains are really soft, and it's very, very flavorful. But if you don't have it and you choose not to use it, you could always use Dijon or another grain mustard, which is fine. Okay, so we have our mustard and we have our pork medallions. This is tenderloin of pork, which I cut into 1/2 inch circles or discs or medallions. And I cleaned off the sinew, which is that stripe of fat that's or muscle that it doesn't really cook. It just kind of shrinks and toughens up the meat and really has no flavor. So I cleaned most of that off. I'll show you how I did that. I have another one of these. This is a pork tenderloin, and there's a single one in this package. Some packages you see come with 2. This particular one has 1. And all I did was I just cut the end off. I kind of just squeeze that out. So what I'm looking for is to get some of this fat and some of this grizzle off this, because it's definitely not, I'm not going to use this piece. Just want to get some of this off so I can get some perfect circles. I can save this for cutlets later. These actually make excellent cutlets. We're all into chicken cutlets these days, but this pork tenderloin makes a beautiful cutlet. So all I want to do is just cut a couple of medallions from this. And this is that little fat I was telling you about on the side, so you just want to trim that off. And along with that sinew muscle. Make sure your knife is sharp when you do this. It just makes things easier. And that's about all you have to do. Got plenty left over for another time. This one actually, as you can see, this is that sinew I was telling you about. It's not really fat, it's connective tissue is what it is. So you can always, you take that off. Even when you're making cutlets, you just kind of take that off. I was doing them separately, but you can always take it off as a whole. That's pretty much all you have to do. And that's it. So let me just take care of this. I'll put that to the side. Just let me put this back in the refrigerator. Okay, so what we want to do is when I get a pan nice and hot, and we're going to saute these. We're going to bring them out, let them rest on a clean plate. Then we're going to make our sauce, which has mushrooms. Today I'm just using regular white button mushrooms. White button is just your common white mushrooms. Nothing fancy schmancy today, but if you really wanted to get creative, you could, use shiitakes or use anything you'd like with this recipe. I think I have about a half a pound here. What I like to do when I slice these is cut it once and then cut it again. Always cut on the flat. It just makes it easier. And don't hack through it like a saw. Just go forward, right through whatever you're cutting. Makes it nice and easy. Okay, so now we need a little bit of clarified butter for this today. Just want to make sure our pan is hot. I'm going to go about 3 tablespoons to cover the bottom anyway. Maybe a little more than 3. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. Let that heat up. See, normally when you put butter into a pan, it foams and it burns and makes smoke, but this is basically oil. There's hardly any moisture left in this, so you don't even hear it. So it's almost like using olive oil or vegetable oil. I just want to touch these up just a little bit with a little bit of salt and pepper, not too much, because the mustard's very salty. So just a little bit of pepper, just a little bit of salt. Turn those over. I have 12 medallions here. It's enough for about 4 people. Not too much salt, just a little bit. And again, a little bit of black pepper. And we can saute these. Make sure your pan is hot. We can fry those in batches. We don't want to crowd the pan too much. Make sure they're not sticking. Want about 2 minutes per side until they're nice and golden brown, and we turn them over. We'll check those in a couple of minutes. As these cook, again, for all you folks out there, all our viewers, if you want to get a hold of me, you have any questions, or you just want to say hello, and if you have a few ideas for the show, it's WPMC Easy Gourmet at gmail.com, and I have a Facebook site, which is The Easy Gourmet, Vinnie Ferlisi. So if you want to say hello, or if you have any suggestions, I'll say hello in the air to any of my viewers who want to be heard. Just going to crank up the heat just a little. I want those to sear. I don't want those to steam. Sometimes if your pan is too low, your meat will turn gray. So what I want to make sure these are hot enough so they're actually getting nice and crusty in the bottom. Just take a look. And see how they are? Beautiful. Just another 30 seconds or so. And then I will turn those. We're going to let them rest under a heat lamp. If you don't have a heat lamp, you could just tent them with foil. Or if you had another potato with this recipe, you could just throw it into a 180-degree oven and let them stay warm till you're ready to go. Just going to let that one go a little longer. Move these off to the side. What I have today is a nice Merlot to go with this. It's from J-Lore, which is in the Paso Robles region of California, which is about 15 minutes from the Hearst Castle. And the reason why I know that bit of information is I was riding down Coastal Route 1 in California, and I got a flat tire, and it was right near the Hearst Castle, and this winery was right near there, so I chose this Merlot for today's. Actually, I didn't choose it, but I happened to just mention that story to Nick Tolopoulos at Old Town Liquors, the sponsor who gives us this wine for the show, and he said, "Oh, I got that great J-Lore Merlot." So I says, "Okay, we'll go with it. It brings back some memories. Not great memories, but pretty good memories." Okay, I think we can take these off. A couple of these might be ready to go. We're looking for 2 or 3 minutes per side is what we're looking for. I'm just going to check to see how our dessert is doing. Looks good. Looks very good. Okay, we'll see. A few of these are ready to come off. Okay, while last one is continuing to cook, what I want is a little bit of shallot. So I'm just going to cut the shallot up. Actually, I think I want one whole shallot because of all that we have there. Okay. And I like the shallot because it's nice and subtle. It's not like garlic and it's not like onion. It's just somewhere in between. So I'll just slice that. I think that should be good. We don't need that. I think this will be enough. Okay, what do we have? Okay, here. Beautiful. So I'm just going to put these under the heat lamp. and let those rest. And I want to get rid of the excess fat. And put our shallots in. And our mushrooms. And put that back on the heat. And I want to blast that with about a half a cup of port wine. I always put, when I'm using alcohol, I always take it off the heat because I don't want any kind of a flare up. So we have about a good cup of port wine. And scrape up any of those bits at the bottom. That's all flavor. We want to cook this down. And once these are cooked down, we can finish off our sauce. So let that cook for a minute or two, a couple of minutes till the mushrooms absorb all that port. The shallots get all cooked. I don't know if any, again, say this many times, if this show had smell-o-vision, this smells awesome. You can smell the port, you can smell the oak in the port. It's really, really good. And earthy. Just going to put that up a little. And we can take a break. I have roughly a good cup, probably a cup and a half of port because we had a lot of mushrooms. If you had less mushrooms, you probably could use less port, maybe like a half a cup to a third of a cup. But what I want to do is boil that down to about half. So I want to just cook that down a little bit more. Evaporate that port, and then the more you evaporate that port, the more the flavors concentrate. See, right now, I can't feel any of those little bits at the bottom of the pan anymore. That means they're all into the sauce. They're all doing their job, surrounding the mushrooms and the shallots and all that port wine. And like I say, how much we have there, we still want to cook that down a little bit more. And when I haven't checked them yet, let me just check the potatoes, see how they're doing. They're coming along really nice, you can see that. They're going to brown at the bottom, but they will brown at the top. They brown at the bottom first. Just a little bit more. You can see that I had about a cup and a half. That's probably 3/4 of a cup now. So I want to get that down maybe another quarter cup, and then evaporate another quarter cup. I have the heat on medium high, and that kind of helps the process here. Okay, so what we're going to do with that is we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream, if I can find it, okay? So we need a heavy cream, we need our mustard, and we need a tablespoon, a clean tablespoon. This comes in a nice little ceramic crock. I'm not sure if you can actually use it for anything afterwards, but it is kind of neat. We're in a world of plastics now. When you get something as natural as a crock like that, you're kind of confused. What do I do with it? So, just a little bit more. Again, since we're just going to wait another minute or so, just let me check the desserts. I know we're doing about 7 things at once here, but let's just take a look. Look at that. You can see the edges of the pears are starting to brown nicely, and this is nice and crisp. Beautiful. just check this now to see what we have left over. So we put in about 1.5 cups of port, and you can see that it's about 1/2 cup now, maybe just a little bit less. And I think we're good. And the mushrooms are cooked. You don't want this to boil down because it'll burn, so you want a close, you want about half of what you put in. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of heavy cream. Going to lower the heat just a little. If you want to use light cream in this, you could do that. Do it off the heat because the cream will separate. So you could use light cream, whatever you have at home, or 50/50. Just remember, 50/50 and light cream at high heat, it'll all blow apart. So you got to be careful. Heavy cream, you don't have to worry. So I'm putting about 1/2 cup, give or take. And I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of this mustard. I'm just going to cook that down till this all mixes nicely. God, that's something. So just kind of heat that till it kind of all gets together, nice and together. I'm going to finish that off with a little bit of butter. Why not? It's been all over the place today. A little more isn't going to hurt when it's ready. I just want this to kind of get some bubbles going here so I know that it's all congealed and mellowed together. Just want to taste that sauce though before we put the butter in. I just want to see how that is. It just smells really awesome. Really good, really nice. The mustard has a little bite to it, but it's a little less bite than Dijon. And it's a has a little vinegar finish to it, white vinegar. And I'm just going to add a little bit of butter to finish this off. Like a tablespoon, just to bind this together, make it nice and silky. I'm going to put all these back in. And the juice, see that leftover accumulated juice? Throw that in. And let that meat absorb some of that sauce. Finish that off with a little bit of parsley. Beautiful. And there you have it. Pork medallions in a Mew mustard sauce with port and cream. And a little bit of butter to finish it off. It's beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this under one of the heat lamps until the potatoes are ready. Let's see how these are doing. I think these are ready to come out. Yeah, peas are ready to come out. It's been about a half hour. Those look beautiful. So we're going to dress those up a little bit. What I have is just a little bit of apricot jam. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in the microwave, just to soften it up a little. I'm just going to dot that. You could add a little bit of liqueur to this if you wanted to, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to soften this up in the microwave. Give it about 20 seconds. As this comes out, if you wanted to give it a shot of Grand Marnier or some other kind of orange liqueur, you could do that. You can just dot some of this on top of these. Bring that closer so I can work on that. You could use orange marmalade for this. If you want to substitute apples, you could do that, and then maybe put cherry jam on this. I mean, you can get a little creative with this. That's what we do in the Easy Gourmet. I give you the base recipe, and then our viewers take off, make little variations of it. And finish this off with a little bit of unsalted pistachios. Just to give it a little bit of color. You could use almonds for this if you wanted to. Although where the pears are white, kind of on the white side, you want something that gives it a little bit of contrast. So the pistachios give it a nice little contrast. Okay, now we'll check our potatoes. It's been a little over a half hour, about 31 minutes, give or take. I think they're ready to come out. We have to let them cool off so we can take this out of the pan, so we're going to let that cool off for a second. How's this doing? This looks great. So I'm going to leave this under the heat till the potatoes are cooled down. And maybe we can take a break from our sponsors. Before we do that, let me mention our sponsors. The Crown Plaza in Woburn. They're one of our sponsors. Thank you for helping today's show be possible. Old Town Liquors in Burlington, Route 3A. They are a great sponsor, and they donated this great bottle of J. Lord Merlot today. Gibson Sotheby's of Woburn and Weston, and a nice little bouquet donated today by our other sponsor is Charlie Hardy at Hillside Florist at 888 Main Street in Woburn. A beautiful bouquet, has the fall colors. It's just a beautiful little sticks coming out of it. I'm not sure what you would call that, but it looks beautiful and looks good enough to eat, actually. We let this cool down for a few seconds, and hopefully it will demold. Maybe I'll just give it a little help just to make sure. Sometimes even in non-stick pans, things tend to stick. Now let's give it a shot. So bring that over to your dish. On three. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And there is our potatoes lyonnaise. A round pan might make this kind of look nice too, if you want to go with a round pan. Okay, and now our entree. So we have again, our pork medallions in a moule moutarde, or a mustard from France, from the Bourguignon region, with mushrooms and port wine, our lyonnaise potato, and our crispy French pear tart. So let's give it a shot and see how we did today. Actually, why don't we open our wine first? Again, this is from the J. Law Estates in Paso Robles, California. It's a beautiful Merlot. I've had this before. It's running $13.99 this month at Old Town Liquors. And don't be fooled by the fact that that movie Sideways said nobody should be drinking any Merlot. That movie is just a movie, because Merlots have made a big comeback. And this is one of the nicer ones. I know it is. So I'm just going to open it up, let it breathe a little. Move this out of the way. Let's see how we did today. So get a little bit of pork, a little bit of the sauce. Again, for anybody out there, any of my viewers who just want to say hello, it's WPMCEasyGourmet@gmail.com, or you can visit me on Facebook at TheEasyGourmet, Vinnie Ferlisi. Let's see how we did today. Look how tender that is. It's just a little bit pink. This isn't like a sausage where you probably want to cook them all the way through. Don't be afraid to have this just a little bit on the medium side. It's not going to be a problem. Very tender. That mustard is delicious. And it doesn't have that bite that Dijon does. It's a little more mellow. See how our potatoes are. Excellent. Cheers to all my viewers of the Easy Gourmet. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to let the dessert cool down. We'll have that, we'll have that later. Excuse me, we'll have that later. But they're almost too nice to eat. So again, before we wrap up today's show, I just want to say thank you again to the Scoreboard Woburn, which is in the Crown Plaza Hotel, Old Town Liquors, Burlington. Thank you, Laura, for picking up such a great wine for today's show. Gibson Sotheby's Realty here in Woburn and Weston. And Charlie Hardy, thank you for the bouquet of flowers today, the centerpiece today for today's show at Hillside Florist at 888 Main Street. Thank you, Lauren Coleman, today for running the cameras. Thank you, Jen. And to all my viewers there, I'd like to say have a good day and good cooking. And we'll see you next time on the Easy Gourmet.
The Easy Gourmet is sponsored by the Scoreboard Sports Bar and Grill. Come visit us at 15 Middlesex Canal Park in Woburn, 781-897-4000.
Old Town Liquors on 286 Cambridge Street in Burlington off of Route 3A. The purveyors of fine wine, beer, spirits, specialty meats, cheese, and prepared foods.
Gibson Sotheby's, proud sponsor of the Easy Gourmet. Come stop by our Weston office today to see the unique approach Gibson Sotheby's International Realty can offer you in selling or buying your next home. Call us at 781-899-1650 or visit our website at GibsonSothebyRealty.com.
Also sponsored by Hillside Florist, located at 888 Main Street in Woburn. For more than 50 years, we've been committed to offering the finest in floral arrangements and gifts for all occasions. Call us at 781-933-2670 or visit us at our website at www.hillsideflorist.biz.